Have you ever wondered what to do about racism? Well, I sure have, and I think everybody else has too. It's a hard thing to handle. It's a hard thing to know what to do with. As I was praying about it, God gave me a picture. Have you ever seen that illusion that has like a young woman and an old woman? What's interesting about it being an illusion, when I look at it, all I see is a young woman. All I see is the young woman with the black hair and the little hat thing. But then my friend that looks at it, she's like, no, I see an old woman. I'm like, where do you see an old woman? She's like, yeah, look right there. And she points out the chin of the young woman is actually the nose of the old woman. And I finally can see it, but it just takes a little time for me to see it. I have to look at it from her perspective. I have to take a minute and let her explain to me how the old woman is the young woman or the young woman is the old woman. And I think that's one way we can look at racism. One way we can help the situation between different races, to look at things from their perspective. Well, in the Bible, in John 4, we see Jesus doing that exact thing. We see Jesus looking at the racism that's happening between the Jews and the Samaritans. You see, in Jesus' time, Jews never talked to Samaritans, and Samaritans never talked to Jews. They were from different areas, and in fact, they really hated each other. The Jews, in fact, called the Samaritans dogs. It was not good. But Jesus, like he does throughout the Bible, he breaks the rules. This is what we like about him. Jesus and his disciples, they were traveling a long way. And most of the time, the Jews would go around Samaria because they didn't want to be with the Samaritans or see what the Samaritans were doing. But Jesus was like, you guys are crazy. Let's go through Samaria. But it wasn't just for the travel. I think Jesus wanted to make a point. You see, Jesus wanted to see where the Samaritans lived, what they were dealing with, and why there was racism between them. And so Jesus sent the disciples out to get some lunch, and Jesus was traveling down the road, and he was in Samaria, and he saw a woman, and she was sitting at the well. She was getting water. And he saw that woman, and he went over to talk to her. Now, y'all, this is a big deal, that a Jewish guy that's high up, is a rabbi, knows all the Jewish stuff, would go and talk to a Samaritan. Not only a Samaritan woman. Not only a Samaritan woman that's there at noon. And the only reason she's there at noon is because she's known as being not a good woman. So Jesus goes right up to her, and he's like, hey, will you give me something to drink? And the Samaritan woman's like, you want me to give you a drink? He's like, yeah, give me a drink of the water. So they start talking, and he says some things to her. And he says it out of love and out of compassion. He's able to talk to her about some things going on in her life. He's able to see her life from her perspective. He took the time to love her and to be compassionate to her and to see things the way she sees them. So what if you and I did what Jesus did? Isn't that what we're supposed to do as believers? WWJD? Well, Jesus went. He went out of his way to see things from a Samaritan's perspective. He went out of his way to show love, to show compassion, to take time with her. What if we did that with people that were different than us, that look different from us, that are different culturally than us? Could that help? I think it could.